Well, it's time to get started, so call the meeting to order. So we'll first start with pledge of allegiance. And Councilman Montgomery is not here, so Blair, could you read the
Absolutely. Everybody stand, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our Father, and we're grateful this evening that we can be here together as council and also citizens. We're grateful for the opportunity we have to serve. We have the opportunity to listen to the citizens of this great city of Harrisville. This time we asked to have Spirit with us this night, and we'll be able to discuss the things that are on our agenda and move forward with different things and be able to discuss things pertinent to what we need to figure out. Again, we're grateful for this opportunity to serve and to be part of this great nation, this great city. Say the same name, Jesus Christ, amen.
Thank you, Blair. Yep. Item number 3 is the oath of office for our new city council. Well, welcome. Jack's gonna take care of it for us.
No problem. You want to get up here and have you do your oath? So if you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me, please. I state your name,
I, Annette Prawl,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Utah,
the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge
that I will discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Thank you. That's the plug into turn on.
Gosh, this feels like this. Where does it go? Right there.
It's on the side.
Other side, right here.
Yes. That.
Oh, right here in front of my brother's house.
Yeah, I'll be okay. This will pick it up and so.
You're okay.
This is your favorite part, right?
Not to mention, you get to go viral free.
Their husband want to get up there for a year too.
That's on both of us.
You better smile too, Greg, I think.
I'll go forward. We'll move on to item number 4, the public comment. We appreciate it if you try to keep it to 3 minutes. Please state your name and your email address. If you could. Anybody would like to comment, please come up, please.
My name is Barnett Medford, live at 890 West Harrisville Road. My email's quackerstacker@gmail.com. So I just wanted to thank you guys. I had emailed a couple times on the dust control on Harrisville Road, the lack of dust control. And since then, I've noticed they've got water trucks and sweepers, and they're actually trying to do something to maintain that. But I just wanted to thank you guys for such a quick response and taking action on that, so.
Well, hopefully that's gonna be done shortly. At least that was according to my meeting I had yesterday with Bonavista. Vista. So we should be like nearing the end.
Yeah, from what workers say, they say probably by the end of next week, but we all know how plans go. Plans are great.
It's already gone past where it was supposed to.
Yep, no worries. I just wanted to tell you guys, thank you.
Well,
Good evening, Mayor Shuman and the Harrisville City Council members. My name is Kaylani Stanger. And I live at 1239 North, 150 East. My email address is Kaylani, KAELANI, Stanger, STANGER @gmail.com. Thanks for allowing me to speak tonight. This year I have the honor of serving as the PTA president of Pioneer Elementary. First, I want to acknowledge that we understand the city has made the difficult decision to focus its resources elsewhere and not continue the Fall Festival. We know these decisions are never easy, and we're grateful for the support you've given our Fall Festival over the past 4 years. I'm here tonight because we're asking you to help us keep something special alive. While Pioneer Elementary's building may not physically reside within Harrisville city limits, the overwhelming majority of the children who attend our school call Harrisville home. These are your residents, your neighbors, and the children who will grow up to shape the future of our community. When you support Pioneer Elementary, you're investing in Harrisville families. 6 years ago, this tradition began as a simple school fun run. As it grew, the sixth graders became part of it, and over time, it evolved into the Fall Festival our community now knows and loves. For the past 4 years, the Fall Festival has been one of the few events that brings our community together in one place. Each year, more than 300 families gather for an evening of fun, friendship, and connection. Children laugh as they race from game to game, parents reconnect with neighbors, local businesses show their support, teachers volunteer their time, and the park becomes a place where the Harrisville community comes together. For our sixth graders, it's even more meaningful. They spend weeks dreaming up, designing, and building and running their own carnival games. They proudly invite their younger siblings and students to play with them. And in the process, they learn their responsibility, teamwork, creativity, and leadership. Together, they raise about $3,000 to help pay for their end-of-year field trips and activities. They don't simply receive these opportunities, they earn them. It is one of the last traditions they experience before leaving Pioneer Elementary, and one they remember long after they've moved on. It would be heartbreaking to tell this year's sixth graders that after watching their older siblings and students enjoy this tradition for years, they won't have the chance to create these same memories. The wonderful thing is, this doesn't have to end. We're not asking the city to organize the event or provide funding. We're simply asking for permission to use the parking lot and the park facilities so that Pioneer Elementary and the PTA can continue hosting the Fall Festival as a school-sponsored community event. Our PTA committee is ready to take on that responsibility. We will recruit the local businesses, organize the volunteers, coordinate logistics, oversee safety, and manage every detail of this event. We are committed to making it a success because we believe this tradition is worth preserving. Our goal is to preserve the Fall Festival that our families have come to know and love, not to create something new. We hope to continue holding it on the third Tuesday in October, just as it has been the past 4 years. This year, that date is October 20th. Keeping the same date allows families, volunteers, local businesses, and our school community to continue a tradition that they've come to expect each fall. We want this event to feel familiar, a celebration that our children can continue to look forward to each year. It's not just asking to keep a festival. We're asking to preserve an event that brings hundreds of Harrisville families and giving our students a chance to learn and lead and reminds our children what a strong, supportive community looks like. We hope you'll partner with us by giving us permission to continue this tradition. We are ready to do the work. We simply need your support to make it possible. Tonight, we respectively ask the council to approve our request. If possible, we greatly appreciate a decision during tonight's council discussion so we can begin planning. October 20th will be coming up before we know it. This isn't just about Pioneer Elementary sixth grade carnival. It has become Harrisville's Fall Festival. We hope you'll help us keep it that way. Thank you for your time, your service, and your thoughtful consideration.
Any other comment? Okay, thank you for those comments. We'll move on to item number 5, consent items. Approval of the meeting minutes from July the 14th. You guys run through them? See changes?
I like city changes.
Okay.
I make a recommendation, we approve the. I'll be putting it on. I make a recommendation to the 7 minutes for July 14th, 2026.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is advice and consent of the mayor's appointment of planning commissioner. So I've interviewed and had a good meeting with Steve Hempel. He's agreed to serve in the planning commission. So if I can have that consent, or if you have any questions or comments, I'm sure Steve would be happy to answer these.
Just one question then. So how many planning commissioners are there now?
Well, we appointed one, and he's officially resigned. He never made it to any meetings.
Oh, okay.
I've had multiple conversations with him, and so is Jenny. His schedule was not such that it could come, so really we're at 6 with Steve.
Well, I have to make a motion to approve your recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. You're official.
Thank you.
Thank you for your willingness. Before I go on to business item number 6, Kehlani, we'll address your question that you brought up towards the more at the end of number 9. Okay. So business items. We're going to start with A, discussion possible action to approve the purchase of light bulbs. So Jennie Knight, lead that discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. We have for you tonight a slide that shows the light pole options that we have for the new city hall. There are 4 options. We've broken them out into the long arm decorative pole, which is what we currently have on the new road 1750 North that's out in front of the Public Works building. We have a short arm version of that same decorative post that saves some funds. There's a single head plain post, which is a parking lot post, or a double head plain post. And these are the totals for those 4 options. We do have it broken out in these slides where you can see the type that we are specifying here. This is the long arm light post, the short arm post, and then the regular parking light posts. So we do need to approve 3 light poles for the road that runs north and south in between the city hall and the proposed Northview Fire Station. There are 3 light poles. They can be the decorative ones that match the 1750 North because they are public facing, or we can choose a more affordable option.
So that price you had up in the front, is that per pole or is that?
This is the total for the 3 poles that we need to purchase. These are all totals for the 3.
Questions?
Yeah, a couple questions. So was this, was this thought of after we did the approval of the building, or was it to be included with the approval of the building.
So it is, it's, my understanding of the question is, was it included in RNO's contract price?
Or even in the discussions with the building in general as it was being planned.
With the building, yes, it's part of the project cost. It's not part of the construction cost for RNO because we get a better pricing by ordering them and supplying the owner supply, and then they will install them.
That was one question. Are there other things like this that maybe weren't a part of that we should be aware of that might come up in the future besides the lights?
The other one is on your agenda for the low voltage.
And were the footings, the concrete footings, the conduits, all of the, are those things already in there? Or are those a part of this approval process?
This is for the pole themselves. All of the construction is included.
So the construction is included with what is an Arno's contract? Is that correct? I have a few more, but I don't want to take up the,
Or maybe, I mean, go ahead and finish yours first.
well, I've got a lot, so if you wanna.
Okay, I'll throw a couple in. So, you said this is the driveway between the, fire station and this, so it's not a public street, it's a driveway.
It potentially is a public street. There's the roadway, and I did not pull up the concept plan for the city hall building. There's a roadway that goes in between City Hall and Northview Fire.
Yeah, to get to the
And
parking lot.
yes, and it has islands in it.
Uh-huh.
These are the light poles associated with that section.
Cause I guess my one question is it a public right of way where we have certain standards for public right of ways? Or is this just a driveway between two properties?
I guess that's up
It's not
for,
a street, it's not a dedicated street, is it? on
well,
the plan.
dedicated street, yes, because the city owns it, right? But it's,
No, a dedicated street would be on the plan saying it's a dedicated public thoroughfare.
yes, it's not at this time. I guess the better answer is, will it in the future? And does the council want to make that decision today?
Okay.
Because if anything were to be built to the north of the city hall, because we own acreage north, and that becomes a thoroughfare, then this would be a public street.
And then if it is that, and this is the second question, so what are the design standards and spacing between these points? And do we know what the foot candle output is to see, are we getting uniform coverage with the lights?
We do on 1750 north, because that is the public road. This would be, I'm going to guess, closer proximity than what our standard would be, because we have the three public facing ones on this stub road, call it, the stub road area. The question is whether you want them to be decorative, where you could hang the flags or flower pots, things like that. Or do you just want us to put parking lot lighting in?
So if I'm understanding you correctly in that response, these lights we're considering are for the stub road, is that correct?
And then, as a, and again, I wasn't involved in the earlier discussion, I'm just asking questions to get a better understanding. Why did we choose the design North Ogden has if we're trying to set apart our facility? The street light, Washington Boulevard, North
Right.
Ogden, this is North
Yeah.
Ogden, street light in Washington.
So that was the vision at the time, was to have a bit of a city main road, a main street, an area in front of the city hall that could be a little more of a main street, since Harrisville's main street is really Highway 89. So it was in an effort to make it be a decorative road. It's not a long road, so the expense wasn't going to be exorbitant to have a few decorative light poles on that road. But that's when the determination was made prior to the public works, when we developed that building, to put these decorative poles on 1750 North.
Okay, and then, So right now, the proposed location are in the different, are in the islands. Over there. Do you know what is our foot candles we're trying to get to is keeping that then visible, saving that, and how does this fixture meet those foot candles?
So whether there are more poles than the standard would require, I'm gonna say yes, there are probably more poles than the standard would require. That roadway, or the stub road section, has islands in it.
Right.
It was intended to be an entrance to the city, right? So I would guess that, and I'd have to check with Matt Robertson, the engineer, on the specs on it, but I'm gonna guess that there's probably at least one more pole than what would be necessary to light up that space.
Okay.
I'm just guessing, because I didn't
Right.
have these questions ahead of the meetings.
Yeah. Well, those are just things, as I was looking at different drawings and kind of went out there and looked at nighttime and what, what are we trying to accomplish there instead, and then if this is off the side stub road,
It is.
should that be different than what we call the main promenade then?
That's up to the
That's
council.
just a question I wanted.
That's why we gave you options. The other light poles, the regular standard parking lot lights, this is what's going in on the other side of the building where the parking lot is not public.
So is this light intended also at Mark?
Yes.
So where exactly are they gonna be placed in the median then? Is that the plan?
I believe so, yes.
And
There
with
is
it being
islands, yes.
down the middle of the street, we're wanting that also light a parking lot? Is that what you mean by that?
So I have a question as far as looking at the number 1 versus 2, which has the short lamp. Can decorative things be put on that if we want to add one hanger?
Yes.
So that's an option. So different. I remember as we start talking about this, at least one of my visions is nobody knows where Harrisville City is. They drive by it, but don't realize that's the city. And I think one of the things in the planning is what do we want to do the beautification of the city, even if it's a small part and we're adding to it as we go. Something that becomes consistent. We talked about wanting to honor our veterans. Sure, it's like North Ogden, but I think that's a great opportunity. If we want to hang banners, things like that, we could do that. That helps in the beautification, let people know we do care about our city. And so I think part of this, I understand where we're coming from on these, but I think something that will help us. Christmas time comes along. All of a sudden, there's some lights there.
But do we want something like that on the street that's not gonna be a thoroughfare street?
Well, I also envision what happens at Highway 89.
But what I'm saying is, we're talking about, 1750, and this is just to the east of the building is gonna be a stub street. Do we wanna have that expense on a street that most people aren't going to traverse?
Or do we want to continue it as we develop parks? What do we want to do with that as part of that entrance? I understand what you're saying, as far as how much expense do we want to put into that? But I think if there's a plan we're looking at on 1700, ones that have been put in, we want to continue that format or something similar to it throughout the city in that area. And I just throw the question out as part of this discussion, is not because I'm rooting for that, but I guess I get tired of living.
Right, but I think also in that same light, the discussion was, some of the things that people are very concerned about, of course, is the overall cost of what's going into this building and us being accountable to the citizens as well. And one of those thoughts that I have is, this is not a decorative thoroughfare. Thoroughfare is 1750. We're making a decision for decorativeness on a side street. That's a way different conversation.
So I'm a little lost with where it says side street, this is way,
So is there, sorry,
go ahead.
these decorative poles are on 1750, and they will go all the way to 89, correct?
Correct.
Thank you,
They're part of the other the road project, yes.
thank you.
Is there others lights in front of the building,
There are bollards.
but not like there's not these pole lights, isn't there pole lights on the public works building?
Yes, there are. They're in front of.
There's a street light,
There's four lights now, there's only 1750.
probably, there's two more that will
And
go
there's
on
one on-
1750.
There's one on 70 west.
And there's a bollard lights in front of the pole.
Is it number one or number two? It's on the public works.
It's a number one. It's the
So
long.
that's the long arm.
This is what we currently have on the public works, the road in front of the public works, sorry.
Does it have?
It does have
banners?
banners.
Something, no. But that's on the north side of 70.
They rotate sides of the street.
Yeah,
They alternate sides of the street.
But we're not talking about the lights on that.
We are not,
street.
correct.
Right,
So we're
so
talking about them sides.
1750 is where those lights would be. Talking about, so 1750 is here, just east of the building, which would be a little short street. We're talking about the lights along that short street. We're now off that main street. And in my opinion, I think that if there's a way to save cost, I don't see that that's great need to have decorative down what would be an alternative street. We're talking 1750 from Main Street. This is Avenue A off of Main Street. Going into that before.
I guess one of the questions I have is, so this is the only lighting for the parking lot?
There's bollard lighting, and I don't,
Well,
again, I didn't know what questions were going to come up. I didn't have any outreach from the last meeting, so I didn't bring the plans. I can definitely do that. We're concerned, we're down to timing on getting the cement in place. They're ready to pour a curb and gutter. So we're concerned about moving forward with without holding the project up. But trying my best to answer your questions as best as I can. There is other lighting, obviously, the architect and the contracting teams are working together to make sure appropriate lighting is there for the parking lot. But these specific light poles are ones that we thought might be public facing, so we brought it to council to say, what kind of light do you want us to put here? Doesn't matter to the team,
Right.
we just need to know which ones you want us to order.
because my concern is just, do we have enough light? Because these by themselves in the island will not give sufficient light for parking. And the parking lot is the main entrance to the public, because they come in through the back of the building to the city meeting room.
And
If there's no parking in front, so everyone's going to come through. the back.
right, you are correct, that this side road that leads in is the main entrance into the city hall. That's where the main parking lot is.
Because my concern is that if we are dependent on this light fixture to provide the light we want, and I don't know what it is, we want a half a foot candle, we want 2 foot candles, I don't know what it is.
I don't have that.
But does this meet that criteria? Or is it this and then we'll still have dark parking? Because the 14-foot lights are not going to get that distance to park.
If you want illumination, we're also being mindful of where we're located, but if you want illumination, I believe these double head parking lot lights would provide more illumination.
They may or may not. That's why I wonder about the foot candles. Because you have bright light.
I was looking at the lumens on each of these, and the single head, simple ones provide the highest lumens, which I thought was interesting. But it doesn't necessarily differentiate between the single and the double head. So are we to assume that if double head, then it would be twice the post? Okay. So then in theory, we could get twice the light with just the three, but not with the decorative ones. Correct. I noticed. And I always go back to the question, how will this affect residents' daily lives? Will they be affected daily by us having a fancy one and looking more like one too?
Well, and I had another question about maintenance, and I don't know what you might have as far as that. Are there differences in the cost of maintaining the lights? Bulbs more expensive in the more decorative lights than these? I mean, what does it mean long term?
I don't know what that looks like. I mean, LED lights are more expensive than incandescents and other bulbs. We don't have the ability to reach that. I feel whenever a street light goes out, we have to leave a lift to do that regardless, so. I don't really have a good answer for that. I don't know how much they all are in any of these lights.
But if we were to add plants, then that would obviously add to their cost. Or flags or any such thing.
Well, it sounds like the biggest concern is street lighting, parking lighting. When it comes down to this, nobody likes to go out into a dark parking lot. So I think that looks at this is different. See where you're coming from now.
So you're saying ordering three, because I noticed on the bid, it didn't talk about shipping. In the last two, it said shipping's not included. The first one said shipping was included.
I believe our bids all included shipping, these totals. The shipping on the other ones existing would be under R&O's contract.
Because whatever that document you gave us, it showed different, with these road work breakdowns. First one had ship included, the other ones didn't. So it's just one. Or is that
I'm
just?
pretty sure when I checked with our consultants that the shipping was included on these, like,
Okay.
this is the total cost.
Okay,
I got these numbers straight from him on total cost.
so that includes shipping.
I'm gonna assume so, yes. Like the total, I asked for the total cost.
So in my opinion, one of the considerations is you replace the. You can replace a single lift pole 4 times, replace the double lift pole twice. Same funding. I think that it makes more sense. Not being as concerned about the dead street.
But you're getting more line out of the bill.
You look at that more like
Realize that it's costing more if the lights go up. You're still getting more illumination all the way along. Something like that in the first one. That would be my biggest concern.
I think for me, I would be leaning more towards the double head. Pretty close.
I just wish I knew how the parking must be inflated to see, do we need them? Is this dependent on that? Is this more of a design concept of an entry feature, part of that lighting zone? I just wish I knew that.
It's not in my public folder, I don't have it. Yeah, I'm sorry,
No,
I'm prepared with that information.
It's okay, these lights are on the road, they're not in the parking lot anyway, so I don't know why we're talking about parking lot. These are on the road,
It is some,
nothing to do with parking lot. Right?
But
My concern is that anytime you have light at night, I think that's a safety that, and I think that's the concern. It can be safety for individuals, it can be safety for cars going up. It also can, as far as being able to observe from a police department that's going on in and out, so forth like that. If we have cameras and things like that, we need to watch anything in lights, I think is worth putting in. In the long run, I think it's worth it.
When I think if they're going down the middle of the road in highways, they can have a light going on either side of the street, right? So I think it would get better illumination. Anyway, so.
and so we're funding this, then coming out of contingency.
No. This should be, as far as I'm concerned, should still be part of what.
it can come out of the project costs, or if you tell us that in my opinion, it should come out of the contingency. This was something we agreed to pay up front on the project costs.
We
need a motion.
I didn't
I think I'll make a motion to approve doing LP 03, the double head plane proposed as the lighting option for the public works.
So we have a motion, we have a second.
City Hall.
Excuse me, not public works, but public safety city hall.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. This is a roll call. Councilman Christensen. Yes. Councilwoman Pratt. Or Crawl, sorry.
Yes.
I'm probably gonna do that like a dozen times. That's just my normal nature. Councilman Williamson.
Yes.
Councilman Montgomery.
Yes.
Councilman Hadley.
Yes.
That is done. Next item on our agenda is item B, discussion of possible action to approve Enbridge Service Line Agreement. This is the service line agreement to feed the building. Jennie?
Thank you, Mayor. So I want to be clear, in June's meeting, the council approved an Enbridge mainline service contract. We have received two contracts. One was higher than the other. We assumed it was the same contract. It was not. One was for the mainline service contract for 1750 North. That was the 16,000 that was approved in June. This contract that's proposed tonight, I put this quick memo together for you, is the actual service line contract to run from the main line to the city hall building. So the 16,998 will come out of the appropriations funding for the 1750 North project. And so the price will actually go down by a few $1,000s from what we originally proposed to the council in June. It's the 12,783.61.
I have one question on that, Jenny. So on the 1750 one where it runs down there, will there be, I imagine that's only like the main line, so if the fire department wants to tie into that line, do they pay us if we're tying into that, or?
They would have to pay Enbridge to
So we're
continue the line down.
How do we do the pioneering agreement? You talked about doing the pioneering agreement.
That was for the power company, I think.
That was for the power company. We do get compensated if they connect to the power with Rocky Mountain Power Agreement. But this one, we don't have any agreement in place. This is to extend it to, from the,
750 or?
yeah, it's already extended through the public works portion. This would extend it far enough to attach.
So just to the city hall then? So it's not really gonna go far enough to get where the fire.
No,
department-
we're not, currently, we're not paying to have that.
Any other discussion?
And this is also for appliances to be connected as well, not just to run the line, but.
It's to connect the natural gas to the city hall building.
I think what that appliance is to be connected is that's just that's a meter of how much gas is being needed.
Right.
Okay, not part of what they're doing for it. Got it, okay.
Any other questions, discussion? Motion?
I'll make a motion with possible action to approve Enbridge Service Line Agreement to the new amount. Is that okay?
Well,
Said, the new amount of $12,783.61.
Is it a new amount or is it like an additional?
this is a new amount. The 16,998 will come out of a different fund for the road. This is coming down from the original 16,000 I told you in June.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Go ahead.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. This is a roll call. Councilwoman Sprawl,
Yes.
Councilman Hadley, yes. Councilman Wilhelmsen.
Yes.
Councilman Christensen,
Yes.
Councilman Montgomery.
Yes.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is item C, resolution of local agreement for animal control services. We tabled it last month. We had some discussion and hopefully, the last couple of weeks have been good for us to be able to try to study that a little closer.
So I think the biggest thing is we had questions about where it would come from in the budget.
Yeah,
And we just weren't sure how that makes us sit within the current budget. With this new proposed agreement. And I don't know if you can help us with that.
Yeah, so we planned on the cost that was submitted to us with a small buffer. They run on a calendar year, we run on a fiscal year. So we try to anticipate that if they increase their fees, we put enough in there that we can cover it. It may, if they go up too high, it may require a budget amendment at the end of next fiscal year, because they'll start into their new budget in January. But we did account for this cost in the current budget.
In the contract, and I don't know that I saw it, but none of this lawyer, so I'm gonna miss some things. Right, but was there anything in there if we felt like it was not benefiting us midstream, that we could we could sever the contract? Then just the 180 days, or we have to give them 180 days notice.
Written notice, yes. Other than having material breach would be 6 days, unless it's remedied. Was our agreement prior to this also a 5-year? Or is that?
It was years ago, it expired in 20 something.
Oh,
It's been expired for a number of years. But yes, prior to that, it was the 5-year term, I believe.
so at this point in time, we're kind of handling what we handle and they just handle what they handle. And
We're operating under the original contract. They're honoring that, even though we are outside of the contract years. They have been providing those services and we've been paying them.
And then remind me, how often are they going to be evaluated, recalculated, so just annually?
They do it every year.
So it won't be mid-year and they'll all of a sudden, they're called like way higher.
It will be for us because we're fiscal. So they start to evaluate their budget in October and they have it adopted and in place by January. So it's always mid-year for us when we get the new numbers. But we try our best to anticipate a small increase for their operational costs, or when we add more residents, we tend to have more calls.
any other questions?
And I'm wondering if it's ever been considered, I don't know if anyone knows the answer to this, to discontinue dog licenses in Harrisville. Or if it would even be possible legally. I know the county has a law, and we have our own separate law. I also don't know how that would impact the budget, but it's just a thought that I wanted to. If anyone has thoughts about.
So our licensing is handled through Weaver County Animal Control Services. They license their animals through that.
I don't think we get any revenue from those
We don't.
licenses.
We don't.
But I wonder if that's impacting what we pay them, because they do collect that fee in.
So I believe that's under the shelter services. So we pay two different contracts. We pay for animal control services, which is the patrol, the response, the calls for service. And then we pay a shelter amount as well. And the licensing, top of my head, best I can remember, it goes under the shelter services.
And that's a part of the interlocal agreement for the bottom. So it's multiple cities all assigned so much for that bond that.
I have my questions answered.
Okay. Any other
I
questions?
guess
Discussion?
question, if, so they are projecting some numbers for the next year, and if we come in way under or way over, does that adjustment not take effect till the following year, or do they ever change things as we go, sort of thing? Do they refund any money at any point? I mean, probably not, but do they ever say, oh, we had such a low call volume, we'll lower your costs for the next?
So the answer we get, correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, because the mayor and chief were in the same meeting I was in, but they use a formula to base our fees off of. And the formula consists of our population, the number of calls, the how many animal control officers they're paying for their services, their hours of operation. They take all of that into account. So to your question, do we ever get fees back? No, we don't ever get refunded from them. They do evaluate the numbers every year. The fees go up every year. We haven't necessarily, in my 22 years with the city, I don't think I've ever seen them go down. But I haven't historically put that data together, and happy to provide that to you in the future if you want to see. We can usually go back about 7 years, our records show that.
But I think also too, Chief Wilson can, I think every year we end up doing more calls as well. So we have to field so many calls based off of time, like, so. They have people on staff in a certain period of time. If there's an emergency or something that comes up, our own police department has to do that. There's, well, certainly, if we want to change the contract with them, we can have them change the contract and make them do everything. But then the price goes up, so we have to balance between the asking for more services versus how much we pay. And what we're willing to take care of from our own police department. So when I started getting involved with the discussion I had, Mark and Jenny, we were discussing how many times they go out and do it. So then I met with Bolos, Weaver County Commissioner Bolos, and I had a meeting with her, and I told her, as I'm concerned, where we have a contract, of course, we're not signed. I haven't signed for 5 years or more. But if we're supposed to be getting services, why aren't you providing all the services? And so then we ended up having a meeting with all of the other entities, so from Ogden Valley to Upper and all the rest came together. And we discussed where it was at. The county is most certainly willing to do more, it's just that's gonna affect that. 22,000 was something number that I happened to remember about like a perfect. So, that's kind of where that discussion ends up. We originally got this the contract back in February, I think February, so we've been kind of sitting on it, like we were sitting on it because I wanted to talk to Commissioner Bowles. And so I finally got that meeting done, and we had the other meetings, and then we decided to try to bring it to city council. So we've been dragging our heels on it.
But it makes sense to sign a contract as a continuation of what we've been doing and not any sort of great jump as far as capita. Or to see cost go up due to population growth.
Yeah, and calls and the number of calls.
Yeah. And you know, it's an interesting thing, that doesn't really have anything to do with this particular contract, and I don't have all the answers, right? It's kind of like trying to control crime, right? But some of the animal control calls that you get is the dog next door barking.
Right.
You know, I don't know that you want to have self-policing, but sometimes, you know, toleration can take a long time too. So, but, and so there's, well, certainly important calls, and there's some that are like maybe important to somebody, one person, but not to another. So you see all different variations of calls. So I don't want my comments to be misinterpreted by saying that I don't think anybody should call it that, but you know, all those calls cost money. You know, we see it as a city. Other people look at it as, well, that's our job as a service. I get that too. Anyway. Any other questions, discussion? Motions?
I'll make a motion. I think, I make the motion that we accept the resolution 26-02. Resolution appointing an interlocal agreement between Harrisville City and William County for animal control services.
Also, good.
Motion is second. Is this the roll call? One. Commissioner Hadley? Yes. Councilwoman Brawl?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. You know what, it's just like, they're. How about councilman, war commissioner, city councilman,
Yes.
Councilman Montgomery?
Yes.
Did I get Christensen?
Right.
Councilman Christensen?
Yes.
Thank you. I liked it better when I had it all written down, all these, which like it. So I have a question on the next part of this, so we have this closed executive session. Is that something we could do like, no, I guess we have the business part, which is part of that. I know some of these people are waiting. Could we jump to at least discuss the park issue? Or do I need to follow?
You want to change the order of the agenda, but you can also follow before the closed executive session.
Yeah, just so that they don't have to sit through the whole.
But like the motion back.
Okay, good. So will you motion to do that?
Yes, I motion that we move number 9 to be right before number 7 on the agenda. So mayor, council staff follow up, proceed with number 7 closed executive session.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second,
That's what-
all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, so we're gonna do that. So I'll start out with what my thoughts on that are, and that is, I don't have a problem as the mayor doing that. Now, whether the city council does or not, that's up to the city council, so. I would think it would be okay if Pioneer wanted to do that. There's going to be some police efforts that we would need to put in there. Every year that's been on, the police come and participate in that. So there's going to be some involvement from the city's end. So I think you need to consider that part of it as well. But I most certainly don't have a call supporting Pioneer in their effort to try to do that. So that's my thoughts. Discussion with you guys.
Well, I'd probably add to that, because I do know that it attracts a lot more people than Pioneer. And even though it doesn't include Orion in this, I don't think it includes the Orion, because it's such a I mean, Majestic, yeah, well, maybe Orion must be something too. Majestic, but I think the intent is good, because Pioneer's just a strange beast. It's in a whole different city. It's away from, you have to go through Video to get to it, from Harrisville students to go there, because it doesn't service anyone else, but those Harrisville residents. It'd be good to have activity within the community rather than driving out to Harrisville to have the activity. I just have one question. Do we see any cost to help move forward in terms of police? You know, they're all the time putting threats being there. Anything that's coming in from the 250 celebration that maybe could be applied to the police presence for.
I think it's also important. They're gonna be involved in that.
Oh, the restaurants too.
Yeah. That's some lights. Yeah. So there's a cost there.
Yeah, there is. I was just wondering what you see is, can you see anything from 250, but that celebration.
We just, as staff, just something to consider as well, that's outside the regular reservation window for the Bowery. We're fine to support whatever the council, but that late in the season, we usually close up the Bowery rental at the end of September. So we're happy to accommodate whatever the council decides again, but just for discussion as well.
We currently show that we may have about, and we don't know exactly what final cost will be, because there's one that's out there. It could be a little bit less than this, it could be more than this. But as it stands right now, we show that there is 14, it's about 1,400 for that celebration. It's possible to be used. But that could change. We talked about just last night with it being that something like we would have 100-degree temperatures. Having ways that people might, you know, we expect people to bring water, things like that, but they might not bring sufficient, and so we had talked about possibly having water bottles that they could help resupply with, things like that. And so that hasn't been acted on.
So if we go back to the last fall festivals we've had, it's been kind of a mutual thing, if I've understood, between Harrisville City and the activities we've had, maybe fireworks. What else were we doing besides fireworks? I know it was a massive candy parade.
Yeah, we provide some food.
And then I know the interlocal of that was that Pioneer doing their, okay, so if the candy parade is not part of that anymore.
Go ahead and ask me your question.
So we would reach out to local businesses and people that would want to do the trunk or treat. We would invite anyone, I mean, we had the council members on there last year. Anyone we would like to continue the trunk or treat. We would also like to continue the hot dog dinner. Like I said, we have some businesses that we're going to reach out to. We have some PTA funds that we've set aside. We would like to continue everything except for we cannot fund the fireworks, and we figured this year is not a great year for fireworks anyway, so
Yeah.
that's okay to cut that.
So I guess that what I'm looking at is what are the costs that Harrisville City is absorbing? Make sure this thing functions, and how does it balance out? I understand where we're coming from here as far as a fundraiser, but there's been a lot of donations by Harrisville City to make sure this works. Okay, so if we're trying to separate it a little bit, I'm just asking how much are we putting into this? Not that I disagree with it, but I'd like to know where the costs fall down.
So we would like to have the police, I mean, we need that expense covered if we have to, and then lighting and the Bowery costs, whatever those. But other than that, we plan to fundraiser and make it,
So for like the hot dogs and things like that, you provide us.
and we would provide the grills, the propane, all of that.
Big license to be what a public works has to do. But there's still presence of police and then these control. You know, as well as you talk about lights and things like that. I'm just saying, hey, here's the umbrella. Where does that all fit? Mark?
So Public Works and Parks play, sorry, I can get this plugged in, play a bigger role in that. Public Works has been doing traffic and parking cars and stuff, so this is definitely, gonna be where we're gonna need both departments. The police will be there for the security, but Public Works has been providing the people out on there, making sure everybody's parked, making sure this highway's safe, setting the cones up. It's definitely, it's gonna be a all department issue, yeah. Not, just not the police.
Well, if we're thinking about how we want our community to feel more cohesive, we want more touch points than possibly just one per year. And I don't know if everyone feels that way, but, I think that here we have a resource in Pioneer and their PTA who's willing to put their funds towards something. Do we meet them with our own funds, or do we say, we'll let that go? That's kind of what my thoughts are. And I'm also thinking about how this will affect residents' daily lives. They will get to know each other better. The kids will have knowledge of other people in their community besides just their school.
For me, I feel like it's hard to make this decision. And it's not, because me, I'm really data driven. And making that decision of cost, we don't know what costs are all going to be there. And so I think it would be something that, for me, it's hard to make a decision on it tonight. It might be something that, I don't know, if you were able to bring things back in a in a couple of weeks and have some cost figured on your end, what might.
We've never had a cost, we've never had a cost to associate, with this, so we don't know what the cost is for the police, for the public works, for the lights, for the. Yeah, so I mean, we've never had a cost associated with it other than. Like, you've gone down to even donating, Brian's been to our meetings, to the candy, to the, you've helped us out a ton.
I could probably provide you with some numbers. For hot dogs, chips, just for food, we're usually within $2,500 for that. Candy, probably $1,000. For light towers, what are we at, Councilman, I think $1,200, so I think 1,200.
We just need the light towers if there's no fireworks, if this gets done.
The parking lot will.
Yeah.
Yeah, the parking lot will. You know, we could probably do away with one light tower if we're not doing fireworks. We won't probably need to light up that whole flat area, but I would recommend 3, so you're $800-ish in light towers. For that fireworks, we're right at $8,000. That's a different line item budget. Yeah, our budget runs at $6,000, what we've been budgeting for that. We've always come in lower, but it's always around 5 to 5.
So basically, you're making this $6,000 and we can go to 50. Okay. You're saying you've got about $1,400 left on.
But that's. That is currently non-capital, but there's potential for you still.
Sure, I understand. But that doesn't cover the labor side. Doesn't cover the labor side.
And that is an accepted, approved use of those grant funds to just move it to a different division. Under the grant.
The grant funds, so the 1,400, but you would say the grant funds are gone. And it's left over from 6,000 city have.
I see.
But we wouldn't be doing the hot dogs or things like that, this.
Right, we say that money, but we still have to provide services.
Yeah, first minute.
But we can't just look back at last year and see how that.
Who handles the resource officer over the money there?
There's not one, just to be, you have a full-time one?
His name's Alex, I can't remember his last name, he's with Boone County Sheriff.
But we were concerned that that would be a conflict of interest, so if we were to reach out to Beaver County and see if that was something that they could help us with, so we wanted to come to you first.
Well, I think that's where some of the challenges come in with the city, and not to say the Pioneer hasn't been good, and all the rest, but at the end of the day, as we look at the overall side of it, you have Majestic that's not involved in it, you have the Pioneer side, and you have the Pioneer side of Majestic, like they're a whole nother half of the city, and I'm not saying that there's not residents that go up Pioneer, I went to Pioneer.
Right.
And so.
So we have asked Majestic to be involved and they did not want to be involved.
Right, and so I know when I was going to Pioneer, we used to have a 6th grade festival at the elementary.
Correct.
And I remember as a 6th grader going through and setting up my own booth in the gym, and I don't know, unless it was 6 years ago, that went away. But you can see some of the challenges that the city has in it. You know, you think, my guess is by the time we staff the public works and we staff the other for this 3-hour event, you know, we're probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $600-700 an hour just to cover that side of it. And then we're also covering it now for this other party as well. And so going for America 250, we felt like we needed to try to involve the whole city, and it not to say that wasn't a good thing. I don't want you to take my comments wrong, but it had a hard time attracting some of the older people that doesn't have kids in 6th grade. I mean, put your guys' self in that situation when you're no longer the PTA president, where it's at, and then that becomes maybe not as high a priority to you. And so it's one of those things where you have to take that into consideration. The other challenge that I have seen where we're not going to be able to come up with a decision right now is that we can't add any more stuff to our agenda in August to cover it. Because of the truth and taxation thing that's going on. So the next time when we could meet on it would be September. And then you're trying to figure out what's gonna go on in October and be kind of up in the air. So, I'm kind of suggesting that if there's a way that you can like do it within your school this year and see how that operates.
So it was my understanding, from the email that was replied from when I was here, that you guys plan to continue the fall festival in future years. So if that's the case, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that's also benefiting the city. Because if we don't do it this year, people go to other towns, they're gonna like it better, and then you guys are gonna also have troubles in the next year. So we were kind of thinking on the lines of it would be a help to everybody in that aspect, and then that would allow the opportunity for Majestic next year if they would like to come, but we'll still have it. So that's kind of why we're so passionate about still.
I get it, and I get your passion, I just think that hopefully you understand the challenge that the city council has in front of them, and that is, we're not talking just, I mean, there's all these expenses beyond, just renting a park. If you know, the initial comment that I made was, well, it can't be that bad to turn the lights on over there, but then you get that many people on it, then you gotta have the police involved in it. It goes above and beyond the number of police that are involved in it, right? And so the typical people that we have on patrol wouldn't be able to take care of that as well as the other things. Is that fair?
So if we were able to get Weaver County and our resource officers on board, would that be a help? Like, is there, like, could you invoice us for the staff and we pay what you would charge? You know what I mean? Is there a compromise that we can work on to keep it at the park, keep it where we have had it? Like if we fundraised for the lights, the park employees, and got Weaver County in to help us.
Or since we're not doing the fireworks, what's from them shutting down the parking lot and actually letting people park in the parking lot and then holding the event in the grass? That way Public Works doesn't have to come out. They don't have to spend their money. We can do our dinner in the pavilion. Public Works doesn't even have to be in it. We can try to get volunteers to come from the 6th grade to come clean up the garbage. And I mean, I'm willing to throw up my garbage can. I'm sure the rest of the PTA can throw it back in theirs. And as far as Majestic goes, Majestic's not here fighting for this. We've asked Majestic, we've reached out to them.
I get it, and I'm not here to argue.
Yeah, I understand. But
Trying to accommodate.
and as far as like the police force, I don't know if they would be able to donate an hour of their time or, because I know you have like labor laws and workers' comp if somebody were to get hurt. So, but
I don't think it's right for us to ask them to donate it.
yeah,
I mean, that's their job, that's the things that they come to do.
There would be a lot of legal issues with that.
Yeah.
And they're here and they have police powers, they're on duty. They need to get.
So, anyway,
I think for purposes of tonight, since this wasn't an agenda item, and I know Brody probably would have shut us down if he was here by now, but we do have the special events. We've been asked about having a special events permit created for the city for these types of events. If the council just wants to give us permission to allow them to reserve the Bowery, we can take that from a nod because that's outside of the scope of our reservation window right now. Then I guess you'd have to scale back they'd have to scale back their event if it got to where it needed city resources for tonight's discussion until we can get it on as a proper discussion item for September's meeting. I know that may not be super helpful for the PTA in trying to get that planned, but we need to be careful to operate within the bounds that the city can, or it's asking for a decision.
What are the limits of, our reservation? Is there certain, so people?
We haven't typically had a number of people. We haven't really jumped into this realm. The health department regulates food. They regulate the number of people. whether they have to have, we do the mass gathering permit on the city side when we hold our own events. That's usually more than 1,000 people in some space for more than 2 hours at a time. So we meet those requirements when the city does city-sponsored events. So we would just encourage them to be in compliance with whatever the health department would require for their event, serving food and things like that. But it would be considered a private event, and I don't know if anything would fall under the PTA regulations of the school. That would all have to be worked out if the city steps out of that. But for tonight's discussion, I get really concerned if we're making decisions on things that aren't on the agenda.
So I think at the end of the day, if you're okay with having to put it on the schedule for deserving, I think that's your okay answer.
So our vote would be whether we allow an out of season. Reservation for that night.
If 3 of you are in agreement to allow them to reserve the Bowery for the day, I think that we could get some more information from our side for them. They could figure out what their funding looks like and come back with a better discussion during September when it's public notice properly.
Are the porta potties still open up to you? So we wouldn't have.
We are, we run the porta potties.
We run the porta potties year round.
Okay,
I would be okay.
it's just that these parks, we don't own these parks, they belong to people, right? They're who pays for it, so it seems reasonable to me to just allow the same process that wouldn't anyone.
Outside of that window, on September 40th. So I've got 2 head nods and one more. Okay, I think we've got.
I just bring up one concern is we're doing that. That's not just the liability issue, but I think it also needs to be the legality issue. Making sure that we go back to roads and make sure this is something not that I'm opposed to, but it's gotta be done legally. Where it's a catch-22 for you and us. And we don't want anybody to be in that situation. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's my biggest concern.
Is there? We still need to finish following up with number 9, since I moved that up there.
We do.
So we have staff follow up. One of our help out assistants should keep it.
Well, I don't know what he was prepared to talk about, but I didn't think of anything else.
I think he's talking about fishing or something.
He might be, it might be better to circle back to him. He'll be back.
Okay. All right.
I think just on the forefront, just preparations for the American 250 Mondstadt Park. Certainly the sidewalk stuff is still ongoing and on our radar, going through policy and figuring out what that plan looks like as far as what the city pays for, residents pay for, and how that all is gonna come together. Girls basketball is coming up. I'm getting ready for that. There's a lot going on, and those are the things that are kind of up front right now.
Jenny?
I just have one thing to report. We did get our compliance notice from our income housing report for our 2026 report. I just wanted to make the council available that we are compliant for this.
Council, do you guys have any things you want to bring up?
I've got a few things, but I just wondered, would it be better to split them and say, let's continue to the end of this council items, so we do get closed session items. So kind of making an amendment to the order procedure now and leaving other items for mayor and council to follow after item 8.
Okay. So we have a motion to do that.
So I'll make that as a motion.
Clarify, are we moving to closed session then next?
Yeah, so that means we're basically moving the remainder of number 9, the number 9. Opposite second.
Yeah, it's not second.
And so we have a motion. That second.
I would be willing to second it, except for I really like to talk about some of the American 250.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Then we would.
And I think we can second, if you hate it,
I'll
after a motion with that.
I will amend my motion that we discussed 250. To look at revised from the agenda.
So I think we have to start off. Don't we?
I will make a motion that we
So if we move it, So
I'll
maybe
wait till after.
Well, just wait, so we need, and pass it there, right? And you talked about 250, and then you can.
So we met last night just to do a final walkthrough of the America 250. We're super excited. I think it's gonna be a great celebration. We did have just a couple of things that I want to follow with Brian. Do we have all the things we need on your check?
We do, yes.
Okay, perfect. And then, we would ask everyone, even those that are in the audience who are here with us, to share. We have lots of things that are going out on the social media. Share and get as many people involved as we can. This is a really cool way, I think, for us to, honor those who are in our community, but also to celebrate our nation's, 250th birthday. And, I have loved what Annette Prawl has done, where our service project, it is, honor a hero, be a hero. That is the theme. And they're going to set up an honor walk of flags around the field. And the cost of admission is for people to bring a canned food item to donate to the local food bank. So they can honor heroes and be a hero all at the same time. And we're planning on, they've had people who have nominated, people that have streamers come on all of the flags. So people can find those. We also are going to have a list of all people who have served from Harrisville that will be at the entrance, so that people can see all the names of the people who have served our country in the capacity as our armed forces. We would also add police officers if we have a list. If so, there are things that you have, Chief Wilson, you could give us. We'd love to honor our local heroes that way too. It's going to be an amazing event, and then of course, I've been telling people it's going to be the biggest block party in Harrisville that day, and so come and enjoy the fun food and games that night. Be a great event. But I just needed to make sure we were coordinated on those things.
Yes.
And we're planning on being there at 7. So that takes
As well,
as well as the day before. Yeah.
we really appreciate you, Brian. You
Sure.
helped so much with that. We couldn't do it without you. So.
You bet, thank you.
That's it.
Now, if you want to do
I
that.
would like to make a motion that we revise the agenda and put item 9 as item 9 and go to item 7 and 8.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second,
Have a second.
all in favor, any opposed? Okay. So we need to have a motion to open a closed executive session.
I'll make a motion to go into a closed executive session for purposes described under UCA section 52-4-205, subsection 1, subsection F. Discussion regarding deployment of security personnel devices or systems.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Second. I need to do both of them. Yeah, so Councilman Christensen? Yes. Councilman Neil Nelson? Yes. Councilwoman Rawl? Yes. Councilman Montgomery? Yes. Councilman Hadley?
Yes.
So, okay, so we're back into our regular session. We're gonna move on to item number 8, business items continued. Discussion possible action to adopt resolution 26-19. Low voltage IT services for the new public safety city hall building. Any discussion that you'd like to have?
Well, I guess the first question is, so where does this money come from?
That's okay.
Yeah. Anyone who can answer that question?
So this would come out of the project costs, so we would anticipate spending that out of the bond money if you want to. This is listed as a capital projects building, so if you want to pull it out of one-time funds, we can do that as well. It would be up to the council to direct us where you want that money to come from.
Do we know what we have in capital? funds money.
We know we have a healthy amount from last fiscal year that's going in there.
Have we maxed out our capital money? Project money? What's we are seeing?
We haven't completed our audit and closed out the last fiscal year, but we know we had a healthy balance, but
I get concerned if we dip into this, type of this. I understand why we don't want to put it on the bond. At the same time, this bond money was built to take care of this and to keep it off our backs. We're already paying the fees for it. So nickeling and diming it out of it to take it out of the project fund, this one, when that money can be used for other things.
It doesn't take it off our back, so.
I just,
Well, our back.
That's bad, so let's take it out of the back. But it's not, your salary regulated for taking care of it. So, and the
Just
idea
kicks
is
the can down.
can pay for it one way or another.
well,
We have those short.
the difference would be, what is the interest rate on this money, where the capital budget has no interest rate payment? That's just a question I wanted.
Well, and I get leery when we start robbing Peter, big calls like that.
Yeah.
And that's really what the scenario is. Pay money, I realize we're paying interest on, you pay interest on finance. And, you know, but all your improvements, you're still paying your interest on your house if it's paid. This is not different. I think it's a business transaction. It needs to be, this type of money here, I think needs to be earmarked for that to take care of. That's just my opinion. I understand where you're coming. Not arguing with that. Saying, I just feel like sometimes keep chipping away. When, let's just get this thing taken care of. Then let's get the bill taken care of. I think we stumbled a lot of times over dimes and nickels to big pennies. That's my opinion.
My opinion was if we have the funds to be able to do it, it's better to do it and pay upfront for it than to borrow it. And if there is a healthy amount and it will cover it, and it doesn't put us at risk in any other way, we might as well do that. I mean, you wouldn't finance your entire house if when you're trying to get ahead financially, if you pay $1,000 down payment, you would definitely pay $1,000 down payment before, you know, bring down the interest rate cost and pay less over time. So, and so I think a fiscal responsible decision is, if we can pay for it, we might as well pay for it. If we need to finance it, that's the tool that's there, but I don't think we should go there first. I mean, there is also the option that you pay part of it out of the capital funds that we have, and then another part of it out of the bond. We're not saying it has to be from one and one only, but I think we need to know what would it look like if it were to come with a capital fund we already have, and should we make it that, or should there be some compromise? So I would much rather spend less on finance than if we have the money to pay for it or to pay for it, finance.
I have one question regarding that. So in past discussions, we had the $10,500,000 is for the building of the building. Right? Then you had approximately, is it 1,500,000 or is it $2 million left over in the bond?
So the bond is totaled at 12.5. I sort of anticipated that we might go down this road for this discussion tonight. So I prepared the spreadsheet I mentioned to you earlier today. This is the total cost of the project at the city hall. It includes what you've approved this evening, with exception to this line item. I don't want to go too far off of the line item that we're discussing, because we are discussing the low voltage and we do need to stay related. But if this information helps you make that decision, then I've provided those costs for you. That's inclusive of all the change orders that we've issued and has the total amount, including what we have on the agenda this evening. There are some secondary follow-up things regarding the project cost. that we will talk about in the future relating to assets that the city owns. We are on a 3-year issuance of the additional bonds that lock us in for 3 years. So we can't pay those bonds off for 3 years. And we did that intentionally to get the project built, to be able to put away the costs in the capital projects. And at the time that we refinance all of the bonds to get the low interest rate in one payment, we can pay off as much of that as we want to. But I want to be careful that we don't get too far off the subject there. But I did think maybe that this would be helpful for you all to see exactly where we sit with these approvals.
There was one thing that was mentioned as we talked about the design of things. And when he's talking about the council room and, you know, the equipment that'll go with it. And he talked about the multiple screens in the council room. Are those things that are negotiable? What I'm looking at is I just hear people saying, well, why is there a bidet in the public? Why are there 8 screens in a council room? I can understand on the dais that we're looking at what's going on, we have that in front of us. I think that's very official. But for the general public, it's like one central screen. I'm just wondering, are there things in there that are cost savings? And say, well, do we really need that?
I can tell you,
Not going to safety, but
I mean, I've only been in the building once. That council room is big. Like, big. Like
the pickleball part.
4 times bigger than this. So I don't know, if you take 8 screens out, like if you take them out,
Okay, well, that's just,
it's not the same as this. So if you're sitting all the way in the back, I don't know where they're gonna be positioned. As far as these screens go, but most certainly if there's things that they're showing here, it would be hard if you're sitting all the way, if you have a big crowd, it would be hard to see that in that big, because it's substantially bigger. That's roughly a 70-ish. So I mean, I get what you're saying is, you know, do we really need that many? But yet, if you don't have a good visual of the room, it might be a hard decision to make to take away. Just to come right back to,
okay.
I think communicating to the public is very important, and that anybody can see it wherever they're sitting. I think that's something that we need to keep in mind. I'm not an expert in that type of thing, but I can see that they need more monitors just for the size of the room itself. So, I mean, that's just, thoughts.
I don't want to affect any of the security that's in this program, so I mean, that's an important part of it, I just wonder. Are there bidet type items that are included in it? And I don't know, I don't have any rooms in it.
Yeah,
I feel like for me, it's less about that, it's more about where it happened. So I do trust that it's been mentioned about they've tried to be as conservative as possible. Yeah. Put forward the security, they would still say we could go more, right? So I think there's wisdom in trying to figure out how do we go on with it and just make the decision of where it's going to be from.
I would just say that I think I agree with you that we should pay for it up front when we can, but let's also not somehow let go of the fact that that's part of the project cost. And then suddenly we say, oh, we have all this more in the budget left to play with. No, that needs to be included when we're thinking about our budget and our projected costs and trying to stay within that, whether it comes out of the bond or not.
I think this is helpful, this information together, because I'm very helpful. I'm sitting back trying to go, okay, well, we knew this was 500,000, this was 500,000, this was 500,000. I'm thinking, man, that's getting close to the 12.5, yeah, we still are 1,000,003 away. So,
Could you tell us when you talk about the health of that capital funds project? Can you remind us, fill us in where we do sit? Even if it's not exact, I'm not asking.
Yeah, I just want to be careful because this budget item, I want to stay on track with what we're deciding is the agenda item here. But as far as the capital projects, we are anticipating that we will be able to have the 35% fund balance at the end of last fiscal year. Is that helpful?
That's my big.
And if we were theoretically taking out this amount, could you give a ballpark of where we would be in the percent of,
I can't now because we haven't closed out. It's too early. We haven't closed out. But as you might remember in the June motion, the amended motion for last fiscal budget, we asked for up to 3 million. We did receive building permits that exceeded what we anticipated last year, which is what gave us that additional fund balance for last year. But I can't give you exact numbers.
I feel like without having that, I almost feel like I feel like it'd be worth splitting that amount. We need to.
about the question, can we take capital funds and pay the payment on the bond?
We cannot make bond payments with capital projects, but as the motion was made, anything beyond the fund balance amount that we're allowed to capture, we would put towards debt service, and we can make bond payments out of the debt service funds.
So it's to our advantage to keep ourselves.
Certainly, there's more in the capital projects fund than just the city hall, so that's up to the council to decide where you want staff to appropriate those funds from. We're happy to support whichever one-time funds do run out.
Can I ask you two questions? I hope they're related to what we're discussing. Could we approve the contract but not the funding at this point? Not where the funding comes from? We're saying we're going to approve the contract and we'll look at the numbers of how to split that out.
Absolutely.
So that's one option we could have.
You can do that, yes.
And then the other concern I have is that, you know, the legislature keeps trying, this last session was to try to reduce your fund balance to 25%, and then following year to 20%. So there's gonna be a concern that if we're at 35, want to keep 35, we may not be able to do that. So, yeah, that's just one comment about, maybe it's good to use some fund balance money, so we don't have to hit that. But
So that's every year annually, right? That's not the total of what we're allowed to keep in there every fiscal year. They
it'll
would
keep
cap
it
it.
25%, yeah.
But we have the buildup of what's in the capital projects fund that it wouldn't affect what we've already captured.
Who knows what they'll do next time? I mean, that got defeated, but yet part of it was saying we're gonna look at reducing each year. Because if you've got that much fund balance, then you're charging people too much property tax money. So,
I think
Definitely something to be said for spending people's money when they live here to benefit from it, right? If they're paying taxes this year, they deserve to benefit dollars, so I can see that, but.
one other comment with regard to that capital. The capital budget. I mean, I met with Brian today and there's plenty of needs. There's a lot of needs in the city, you know, from maintaining, we have a detention basin that needs to go higher and all the rest, so you start pulling all that money out of there for that, it may end up having an impact on something that we need to get done with either a piece of equipment or what's there. So you want to,
I like
watch that, but I think
approving it
be able to have a conversation later. Find that how it is.
That way they could get the numbers
Get
together.
the contract put together.
So how about we do a motion since it's almost 9 o'clock?
Good. I'll motion that we approved resolution 2619 for voltage IT services for public safety city.
So we have a motion, we have a second,
I'll second it.
and then in your motion, would you say you're approving that, and I'm doing the financing later?
Should I do it in that form?
You don't necessarily have to specify right now. We can work with that and figure out those options.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Christian Blair. So we have a motion, a second, this is a roll call. Let's see, I'm gonna start with Councilman Wilhelmsen,
Yes.
Councilman Crawl,
Yes.
Councilman Montgomery.
Yes.
Councilman Hadley. Yes. Councilman Christensen.
Yes.
All righty, now we're back to number 9. Greg, you're up. Now
Yeah.
skip over to you.
I don't have much for
It's not gonna be here.
Yeah.
last, other than I shop with the, shop with the cop thing is this Saturday. Yeah, we went over our active shooter training last council meeting, but that's Monday where we're having the active shooter training up in that, Gilman.
So you're doing a shop with a cop on our American 250 holiday.
Yeah, so I got a couple guys going to that in the morning. Yeah, we're spread out. But we're hosting it, it's out of Walmart, so we'll have a couple people there.
I expect to see you over there with smile
You won't see me this year.
on. Oh, that's right, because you're going fishing. We'll put you on a video.
Hey, whatever. Better get me, get on the boat.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Councilman Montgomery.
Okay, so this first question, do we know what our costs are of the advertisement with truth and taxation? I noticed the ad was put in the newspaper today and different things going on.
Yeah, so, it's $860, I believe, each time we run an ad, and for them to post it on the Utah Eagles website.
Do we know how many do we have to post?
2. Yes, so we need to do it 14 days out and 7 days out.
So it's $1,500 to do that.
Yes.
I'll jump to a couple of things then. Have we sent a letter out to the planning commission about the council's request to look at the zoning, there are 3 and 5, 6 zoning?
Cynthia's putting it in the, I believe, together with the packet for the meeting, so I think it's gonna go out in that same email to them.
Okay.
That they know. She's also putting together kind of some background information for them and doing the historical research.
Okay.
Kind of some of the same documents we sent to you several months ago.
Okay. Good. Any update on the Harrisville Public Works sign in Washington? We're removing that sign from the building.
Perfect. We did get permission from the property owner to go take a look at what it would entail to take that down, but I don't believe we've been able to prioritize that as a high enough thing for our team to get out there yet.
Okay. The only concern I have about it is, we have a set example following our own ordinances. And removing the sign without our obligations on the civil building. So that's just my concern.
If you'd like us to increase, we just need 3 head nods and we'll put that at a higher priority.
Head nod. No head nod.
Okay.
I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, we have a set example.
I understand.
Okay. And then the next item I have is why I was late, and I apologize to Blair for not being here on time. You had to cover for me, so I'm sorry about that. I apologize for that. I've been dealing with the issue of the development next to me, and it made me realize some of our processes that I'm real concerned about. And in our ordinances, we talk about letting, as part of a preliminary approval, having, notice given to people who provide the water, who then respond and set criteria, so they can be put as preliminary conditions. And I don't know that we as ditch people ever got notice at all about what Ocala was doing. And we could even respond back, because now what they've done, they rerouted the irrigation ditch, and the outlet to get to our ditch is about 2.5 feet below the ditch, which means the water will not go to our ditch. But they said this is all according to the city's plan, so it's approved. And state law says they need to also work with the water brokers, that ditch, to get that approved, which never happened. And now we're in a battle. They had to quickly block it because the irrigation came in, so all their work had been blocked off because we would not get water based on the system they just built, which of course we were told was happening in October, but they've already done that. So I was looking at the subdivision ordinance and the standards there. It talks about that we are required to send notice to the people who provide water and ditches and those type of things. And they respond back with their concerns, so they can be included in concerns that the city has. Now, I understand the city doesn't regulate that, but that's still part of it. So the developer can know, okay, I've got to work with these people too, to make sure their ditch works, where this hasn't happened. As I saw 3 days ago, away, and this is not the drawing we looked at last. Oh, this is what we're doing now. And then when they said it today, we wouldn't let the water fall. Well, I saw it yesterday before the water came in. So I quickly made an emergency. But it's like, where do we go in terms of making sure that all the entities who are involved and seeing how the development works, actually works? As I talked to Matt yesterday and looked at the drawings, it was great that elevations, except they never had the final elevation that gets to the ditch it's supposed to go to. So they build according to that, so now it has a flow. So I'm just wondering if there's something we need to do and look at our processes to make sure we get all the information at the preliminary stage, so things like this don't happen. And if that's, paying more attention to what our ordinance says, because again, I don't ever remember notices coming out when the project was proposed about, here's the ditch, here's the design, make your comments. The ditch people have 20 days to respond by our ordinance. I'm just concerned if that was happening to this project, how many other projects is that happening to, where there may be other entities involved? But the developer says, well, the city's approved it, that's all I need. When I talked to them yesterday, they said, well, the city approved it. I said, but that's not, their responsibility is not the ditch. They just approved the subdivision. And it's just frustrating right now to see on the other end now how sometimes the things we just pass off to someone else to take care of it, how that comes back to bite people. And not the developer, well, it will develop at this point. Because they're gonna have to figure out how they're gonna do this, it's really gonna be a mess. And if we could catch things early on and follow our ordinances by getting those comments in to all the entities, that would help situations like this that I'm going through right now, which is why I place.
Is that a service letter that we get from? Like, I know you see a service letter to them as a planning commission, like from a lot of this, super company.
So we have made improvements with that exact system. We've been working through the disconnect with communications between Western and their ditch masters. And those change over sometimes.
Yeah.
As you know. So we have tried our best to make improvements to that. Western is involved in our project management. Marv usually comes himself to our project management meetings. I think we have tried to make improvements to that. I can't say that we haven't missed things in the past.
Yeah.
I can't promise we won't miss things in the future because we're humans. But we're doing our best to try and open that conversation a little deep and have that deeper conversation. I think it is. We're working through an agreement with Western, so I'll say at this level because we don't have that worked out. But I think some of it is maybe we haven't contacted the right people because we haven't known who to contact in the time frame that we were looking for a response. Certainly, we can always do better. When we have better information, we can do better.
Yeah.
And we always try. But I think we have made some better improvements over the last, since Ocala was adopted. I think we've made some improvements to our communication there. And hope to do better in the future so that we can catch these types of things.
Yeah, because it just says in the ordinance, within 20 days. After receipt of completed application, the city shall notify in writing the water conveyance facilities. Requesting information regarding the following: access, maintenance, protection, safety, and other issues. And that can be, then that's forwarded on to the developer. So he realizes it's not just the city's items, there's other items they want to address in the developer.
Yeah, and that is the service letter that the mayor's referencing that we require from those entities.
Yeah.
But we haven't historically gotten service letters from Western.
Have you written some?
Well, they've been participants in our, so we don't necessarily write to Bonavista Fire District. They come to our project management meetings. They're actively involved and engaged in those conversations. So whether we need to go by the letter of the law in our ordinance and send documentation, we can definitely improve on that front. But they come to our project management meetings. We talk about all of these issues in those public meetings where the minutes are taken. To get those service letters, but like I said, we can always make
I
improvements.
think we need to. If I just wonder what other people are doing with it. Well, I know what I'm doing with it. It just doesn't. There's a break in the system. And now we've got a developer, he says, well, I followed the city's plan. And when I looked at the city's plan, the one fault was, well, they gave the elevations at the bottom of the ditch. They never gave the elevations of the ditch they have to connect to. So they just followed what the plan said. And then use any common sense, you have to look at things. And now, you know, there's a mess. And that goes along with the other, I'll make a snide comment and then I'll stop there. You know, take a look, drive down Larson Way. And the developer said there's no water on this side. I walked out there and my shoes are dry. Look at the size of the pond that's now developed because they blocked off the ditches. Which in a drought area, there shouldn't be any water. There's no ditch right there. We'll just get out of the water, steam it up and down. We've got a good sized pond. So that's sometimes just in our review of things. I think we just take things at face value and don't really go out and take them, see, and make that analysis. So that's all I'll say on that. I just hope we can improve on that.
And one comment that I'll make regarding that, it goes back from the past. But I know I ended up having to deal with a situation with the Bedlam golf course. That, you know, there's been like 5 developers on this.
Seems like.
But I mean, the development got sold, the people came in, we gave them, I don't know if we had to give them approval, they came in, tore down all the trees and took out all the other amenities of the golf course. But we got to a point where they'd taken out like the pump houses. And some of those pump houses at the bottom of them were 12 feet deep. You know, big cement tanks. And they'd taken the house off and left the hole. And so you had water running in. But then it started to flood. And I remember meeting with Justin Schinzel, because all the residents were over there threatening a lawsuit against the water users. Well, I happen to be one of the water users, so they're like, it's your problem, and yet none of us as water users did any of that damage, right? Yeah, and luckily, whoever the developer was at that point had a big excavator over there, and we were able to talk to him, and he went out ripped everything out and made the water start to flow to get rid of the water. Now that problem's solved because development's got further along. But I think your comment regarding where we miss it is, that discussion, okay, what are you gonna do with the water? And I remember being on the planning commission, I remember us discussing the water, that. So somewhere down the line, we gotta make sure we get back to that. Making sure that that's just as important as a lot of this to planning. Any of the others that they're well addressed. I mean, we're dealing with it on West Harrisville Road too. Right now with some so. But. Didn't bring it up. Okay.
And then my last item, I'm just gonna throw this out to see if there's any takers. But I would like to make a motion that we consider setting a public hearing to reduce the right of way width to the West Harrisville Road from North Harrisville Road to the railroad track to 100 feet east.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that from any of the councilmen? Because really, we could just add it to the agenda in September.
This is, it's very, how does that affect, I mean.
But that's where right now, it's just a matter of bringing it up as a discussion.
I understand that, that's bringing this up, that's part of the discussion, maybe not right now, but I think it's make sure that we're not impacting. We're getting, just make help do this. I'm not discouraging it, I understand where we're going. There's money in down there, and it goes away. Okay.
So we have 3 nods.
Or what are we nodding on?
So there's a situation on West Harrison Road where some parcels of property that show an 80-foot road easement. There's some that show 99 feet. And so with this new project of putting curb and gutter and all that, the design that's going in right now takes up 80 feet of that space, not the 99 feet. So there's some residents that it really affects their home with that extra 19 feet. However, right now with the road that's going in, it's not going to affect that because it's only going to be to 80 feet. So what Greg is talking about is there's a lot of controversy that's gone on, arguments with the abutment and all that. Is it 99, is it 80 feet? And it's quite frankly held up project now for 4 months.
It would be good to just have that.
So if that was something that could move ahead now. There's a lot of other arguments. So at this point, I think if you brought up and think about just bringing it up and we can discuss it in the agenda for September. So if we could just get 3 people to say, yeah, let's get it on the agenda, but don't put it.
I would like to come.
Okay, so Greg. And so we got 3.
So just for clarification, it's a discussion about whether to hold it, correct?
Correct. What would have to happen
What would have to happen?
if the council wanted to do it? We would then have to give notice to every property owner, but we would have to, of course, we'll do a public hearing. There's like 4 or 5 steps if we want to consider actually doing it. But this is the state that we want to consider it.
That's the discussion.
That's the discussion.
And will we lose all of our money that we're getting for this if we do that?
I think that's part of the discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's just to paraphrase the statement, that we don't want to make one time and worry about money, it's principles important.
Okay, so we're gonna vote on it. Okay, anything else? No more discussion? Grover?
Tomorrow or Thursday, we're having a meeting as far as the Parks and Recreation team, development committee. And we're gonna get recommendations, start developing parks. So as we're talking about money, that in mind, those are the suggestions that we can have to come first. He's gonna start putting So got real good positive response on what the keyword codes have been out there. How many have we got checked so far?
Probably close to 50.
So, I mean, and there's enough people that want to be on the committee, that 10 is too little.
Well, and we need the. One other thing that you could add on your agenda too, like maybe it's already there, but. You know, getting, there's a time frame, I don't know what the time frame is, or grant. Grant.
Right.
But other than that, we need to be really cognizant of those things, because there can be a lot of money handed out
That's,
if we have the right project.
right.
Right.
So as we're looking at that, yeah, we stay on that agenda.
Okay.
Just give me an update where it is, this moving forward, and people are excited about it. I've got, our council, no, our planning commission group. So we go through and talk to each of these people, want to really present that back to the people. How we want to deal with this, and we get this organized. So, just to give you an example. Okay?
Good.
Thanks. So,
Right.
but
All right, so we're down to item number 10 for adjournment. Heard it, did I miss you? Okay. Yeah, motion to adjourn. Motion to. Motion, do I have a second? All in favor? Aye.